The music is too loud, the laughter too bright. The air in the rooftop lounge feels suffocating despite being open to the New York skyline. I grip my vodka soda like a lifeline, watching my coworkers celebrate the company's quarterly success with the kind of enthusiasm I can't muster. I shouldn't have come. But staying home alone on a Friday night feels like admitting defeat, and I've had enough of that lately. Maya, come take a group photo. Jessica from accounting calls out, waving her phone at me from across the crowded terrace. Her smile is bright, but her eyes hold that particular kind of pity I've been seeing everywhere lately. The kind that says, poor thing, all alone again. I force a smile and shake my head, holding up my glass as an excuse. She shrugs and turns back to the cluster of laughing colleagues, their arms draped over each other's shoulders, secure in their belonging. 3 months ago, I would have been in that photo. 3 months ago, before Marcus decided that my career ambitions made me too focused on myself. Before he announced at brunch with our friends that he needed someone more present. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. More available, more willing to make him the center of her world. Before he left me, standing in our shared apartment, watching him pack his things while casually mentioning he'd already moved on to someone who understood his needs better. The worst part isn't the breakup itself. It's the aftermath. The way our mutual friends quietly chose sides. The way invitations to dinner parties dried up. The way people at work started treating me like I might shatter if they mentioned relationships or weekend plans. I take another sip of my drink and move toward the railing, away from the crowd. The city sprawls below me in a glittering maze of light and shadow. From up here, on the 42nd floor of the Avalon Tower, Manhattan looks clean and ordered, beautiful, even. Nothing like the messy reality of living in it. The breeze lifts my hair off my shoulders. I've worn my navy blue dress tonight, the one with the delicate straps and the hemline that hits just above my knees. Professional but pretty. I'd even bothered with makeup and heels. Some pathetic part of me had wanted to prove I was fine, thriving, even. But standing here alone while everyone else clusters in groups, I feel the truth settle over me like a weight. I'm 29 years old, single in a city that feels designed for couples, working 60-hour weeks at a marketing firm where I'm good but not quite good enough to be indispensable. And so achingly lonely, I sometimes catch myself talking out loud just to hear a voice in my apartment. Careful leaning over like that. The voice comes from behind me, low and textured with an Italian accent that turns the words into something almost musical. These railings are decorative. They're not built for trust. I turn, annoyed at the intrusion into my private moment of self-pity, and find myself looking up at a man who doesn't belong at a corporate happy hour. He's tall, well over 6 feet, with the kind of presence that seems to compress the air around him. Dark hair swept back from a face that's all sharp angles and Mediterranean features, high cheekbones, a strong Roman nose, lips that look carved from marble. His suit is charcoal gray, clearly custom-tailored in Milan or Rome, the kind that costs more than my monthly rent. A heavy gold ring glints on his right hand, engraved with something I can't quite make out in the low light. But it isn't his appearance that makes my breath catch. It's something else. Something in the way he carries himself, like a wolf dressed in expensive wool. Dangerous and deliberate. I wasn't planning to jump, if that's what you're worried about, I say, immediately regretting the defensive edge in my voice. His lips curve slightly, not quite a smile. I wasn't worried, just observant. His eyes, dark as espresso, study me with an intensity that feels almost physical. You've been standing alone for the past 30 minutes. Either you're antisocial, or you're here with people who don't notice when you disappear. The accuracy of his observation stings. Maybe I prefer being alone. Maybe, he agrees, moving to stand beside me at the railing. He keeps a respectful distance, not crowding my space, but close enough that I catch his scent. Expensive cologne with notes of bergamot and leather, and underneath it, something distinctly masculine. But I don't think that's true. You don't know anything about me. I know you've been clutching that glass for 20 minutes without taking a sip. I know you smiled when that woman called you over for a photo, but your eyes didn't match your expression. I know you're wearing shoes that hurt. He glances down at my heels. You keep shifting your weight every few minutes. I stare at him, torn between irritation and a strange flutter of something I can't name. That's either very perceptive or very creepy. In my line of work, noticing details keeps you alive. He extends his hand, and I notice the scarring on his knuckles, old and faded but unmistakable. The kind that comes from breaking things or people. Dominic Salvatore. I hesitate, then take it. His palm is warm, his grip firm without being aggressive. The gold ring presses against my fingers, and up close I can see it's engraved with a family crest, an eagle with spread wings clutching olive branches and a sword. Maya Chen, he repeats, as if testing the weight of my name on his tongue. The way he says it, with that slight Italian lilt, makes it sound exotic instead of ordinary. You work for the marketing firm hosting this event? How do you know it's not my company? That almost smile again. Because if it were your company, you wouldn't be standing out here alone. You'd be working the room, making sure your employees were happy. He's right. Annoyingly right. I'm a senior strategist. And, to you? Are you a prospective client, or did you just wander up here looking for a good view? Neither. He turns to face the skyline, his profile sharp against the city lights. My family owns this building, along with most of the commercial real estate in this part of Manhattan. The casual way he says it, as if owning half of Midtown is no more significant than owning a car, makes me reassess everything about him. The suit that probably costs $15,000, the watch on his wrist, a Patek Philippe that I recognize only because Marcus used to drool over them in magazines. The confidence that comes from never having to prove anything to anyone. Salvatore, I say slowly, the name suddenly clicking into place. As in Salvatore Properties? The restaurant group? The construction company? Among other things. His voice is neutral, but there's a weight behind it. A warning, maybe, or an acknowledgement of truths left unspoken. My great-grandfather came through Ellis Island, in 1922 with nothing but a knife and ambition. Built an empire from the ground up. My family has been part of this city's foundation ever since. I know the Salvatore name. Everyone in New York knows it. They're in real estate, hospitality, construction, old money, old power, old connections that run deeper than most people want to acknowledge. The kind of family that appears in Forbes but also whispered about in terms that suggest their wealth didn't come entirely from legitimate sources. There are rumors. Always have been. About the Salvatore's real business. About connections to organized crime that stretch back to Prohibition. About the way certain problems disappear when the family takes interest. About the fact that 5 boroughs' worth of businesses pay consulting fees to Salvatore Holdings for reasons nobody discusses in polite company. Then what are you doing up here? I ask carefully. Checking on your investment? Something like that. He glances back, toward the party, where my colleagues are now attempting some kind of group dance that will be mortifying to remember on Monday. Though I'm beginning to think the view out here is more interesting than what's happening in there. The comment should sound like a line. Coming from anyone else, it would be. But there's something in his delivery, matter of fact rather than flirtatious, that makes it feel like an observation instead of an advance. Your boyfriend shouldn't leave you alone up here, he says suddenly, his tone shifting to something darker. Not in a place like this. Not when you look like that. The words hit harder than they should, finding the exact bruise Marcus left. I don't have a boyfriend. Something flickers in his dark eyes. Interest. Maybe. Or calculation. Recent? Recent enough that people still give me pitying looks. I don't know why I'm telling him this. Maybe it's the vodka on an empty stomach. Maybe it's the anonymity of talking to a stranger who has no connection to my life. 3 months. He said I was too career-focused. Translation. I wasn't willing to make myself smaller so he could feel bigger. Dominic turns to face me fully now, his attention absolute in a way that makes my pulse quicken. Then he was a fool and you're better off. Everyone keeps saying that. But you don't believe it. I meet his gaze, surprised by how easily he's identified the truth I've been hiding from everyone, including myself. I believe it intellectually. But at 3 a.m. when I can't sleep, when I'm eating takeout alone for the 5th night in a row, it's harder to remember. Loneliness is its own kind of violence, he says quietly. And for a moment, the carefully controlled mask slips. I see something raw underneath, something that speaks of intimate familiarity with isolation. It makes you doubt everything you know about yourself. Makes you wonder if maybe everyone else is right and you're the problem. The words are so unexpected, so honestly vulnerable from this man who looks like he's never been vulnerable a day in his life, that I forget to guard myself. Yes, exactly that. We stand in silence for a moment, the party noise fading into background static. I study his profile, noting the tiny scar above his left eyebrow, the way his jaw tightens as he watches the city below, the tension in his shoulders that suggests he carries weight I can't see. He looks like a man intimately familiar with loneliness, despite the obvious wealth and power he wields. "Why are you really up here?" I ask. "You don't seem like someone who makes social calls at corporate parties." "I'm not." He turns those dark eyes back to me. "I came to deal with a tenant issue. Your company is 3 months behind on rent. My property manager thought I should handle it personally. The admission is so blunt it takes me a moment to process." "You came here to collect rent at a company party?" "I came here to remind your CFO that agreements have consequences, but he's currently drunk on my rooftop, so I decided to postpone the conversation." The corner of his mouth lifts. "Then I saw you standing alone out here, looking like you were deciding whether to jump or just disappear. And I thought maybe the evening wouldn't be a complete waste." His honesty is disarming. Most men would have lied, would have pretended their presence was coincidence. But Dominic Salvatore states his intentions with the casual confidence of someone who's never had to apologize for taking up space. "So you decided to what? Keep me company out of pity?" "I decided to keep you company because you're the most interesting person at this party, and I've been bored out of my mind for weeks." He leans against the railing, his posture relaxed but his eyes sharp. "Tell me something, Maya-chan. What do you want? Not what you're supposed to want. Not what your ex-boyfriend wanted you to want. What do you actually want for yourself?" The question catches me off guard. No one's asked me that in years. Marcus certainly never did. "I don't know," I admit. "Then that's the first thing you need to figure out." He pulls out his phone, types something quickly, then hands me a business card that appears in his palm like magic. Heavy stock, embossed lettering. "Have dinner with me tomorrow night. I know a place." I look at the card, at his name printed in elegant script, at the phone number below. "Why would I have dinner with you?" "Because you're lonely and I'm lonely and neither of us is good at admitting it. Because I think you're intelligent and beautiful and worth more than whatever that fool ex of yours made you believe. Because I want to know what makes you smile for real instead of that polite professional smile you've been wearing all night." He pauses. "And because if you say no, you'll spend tomorrow night eating takeout alone and wondering what might have happened if you'd said yes." He's right. Damn him, he's right. About all of it. "This isn't a good idea," I say, but I'm already tucking the card into my clutch. The best things in life rarely are. He straightens, adjusting his cuffs in a gesture that's purely masculine. 8 o'clock. "I'll send a car. I can get myself to a restaurant. Not to this one. It's not exactly listed on Google Maps." Something flickers across his face, a shadow of the dangerous man underneath the polished exterior. "Trust me, Maya. Just this once." Before I can respond, he's walking away, moving through the party with the kind of presence that makes people step aside without seeming to notice they're doing it. I watch him disappear into the crowd and realize I'm smiling. Actually smiling. For the first time in 3 months. I have no idea what I've just agreed to. No idea who Dominic Salvatore really is or what kind of world I'm stepping into. But standing here with his business card burning a hole in my clutch, and my heart beating faster than it has in months, I realize I don't care. Sometimes lonely people do stupid things. Sometimes they make choices that aren't safe or sensible. And sometimes, just sometimes, those choices change everything. The car that picks me up the next evening is a black Mercedes S-Class with tinted windows and a driver who introduces himself only as Thomas. He opens the rear door with practiced courtesy, and I slide into leather seats that smell expensive and new. "Mr. Salvatore asked me to ensure your comfort," Thomas says as we pull into Manhattan traffic. "There's water in the console if you'd like. The drive will take about 20 minutes. I've dressed carefully tonight, a burgundy dress that walks the line between elegant and sexy, heels that are beautiful but walkable, minimal jewelry. My mother would say I'm trying too hard. My best friend Claire, when I called her in a panic this afternoon, said I wasn't trying hard enough, and I should wear the red dress that Marcus always hated because it was too attention-seeking. I compromised with burgundy. We drive through Midtown, past the theater district, into neighborhoods that become progressively less commercial and more residential. The buildings here are older, some with Italian flags hanging from windows, the storefronts sporting names like Carbone and Sons and Mama Rosa's Kitchen, Little Italy. or what's left of it in a city that's been gentrifying neighborhoods for decades. Thomas pulls up to a restaurant that looks like it stepped out of 1950. No neon signs, no trendy branding, just a simple awning that says Salvatore's in faded script and windows glowing with warm light. "This is it?" I ask. "This is it?" Thomas opens my door. "Mr. Salvatore is waiting inside. The restaurant is small, maybe 20 tables, with checkered tablecloths and candles and wine bottles, creating intimate pools of light. The walls are covered in photographs, black and white images spanning decades, showing men in fedoras and women in pearls, families gathered around tables laden with food, children playing in streets that no longer look like this. And in every photo, someone who looks like Dominic. The same dark eyes, the same sharp features, the same presence that makes them stand out even in a crowd. Maya, Dominic appears from a back room, and my breath catches. He's in dark slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows, revealing forearms roped with muscle and marked with more of those telling scars. He looks both more dangerous and more human than he did in his expensive suit. "You came. You didn't really give me a choice. You sent a car. You could have told Thomas to take you home." He crosses to me, and I catch that scent again, bergamot and leather, and something uniquely him. "But you didn't." "No. I admit, I didn't." He smiles, a full, genuine smile that transforms his face from dangerous to devastating. "Good. Come. I want you to meet someone." He leads me, through the restaurant, past tables where diners eat and talk in rapid Italian, to the kitchen in back, and there, standing at a stove that looks older than I am, is a woman who can only be Dominic's mother. She's small, maybe 5'2", with steel-gray hair pulled into a bun and dark eyes that assess me in 3 seconds flat. She wears all black, widow's black, I realize, with an apron tied around her waist and flour dusting her hands. "Mama," Dominic says, his voice softening in a way I haven't heard before. "This is Maya. Maya, my mother, Alessandra Salvatore." "Mrs. Salvatore," I say, offering my hand. "It's lovely to meet you." She ignores my hand and pulls me into a hug that smells like garlic and tomatoes and something warm and maternal that makes my chest ache. When she releases me, she holds me at arm's length, studying my face. "Bella," she says, the Italian word rolling off her tongue like music. "You have good bones, strong face, and you're not intimidated by my son, which is rare." Her English is accented but clear, musical in the way Dominic's is. "You eat meat?" "Yes, ma'am." "Good. Sit. Both of you. I make you something special." Dominic leads me to a small table in the corner of the kitchen, clearly his usual spot. "My mother doesn't cook for strangers," he says quietly as Alessandra moves around her kitchen with practiced efficiency. "The fact that she's feeding you is significant." "What does it mean?" "It means she's decided you matter." His hand finds mine across the table. "And my mother's instincts are never wrong. Over the next hour, I'm treated to a meal I'll remember for the rest of my life." Alessandra brings course after course antipasti, with fresh mozzarella and prosciutto, pasta with sauce that's been simmering since morning, veal that melts on my tongue, vegetables sautéed in olive oil with garlic that makes my mouth water, and with each course, she tells stories about the restaurant, opened by Dominic's great-grandfather in 1925, about the neighborhood, how it's changed and what stayed the same, about the Salvatore family, their history, their traditions, their fierce loyalty to each other and to the people they consider their own. "My husband, God rest his soul, he built this neighborhood," Alessandra says, setting down plates of tiramisu that smell like coffee and sweetness. "Literally built it. The apartments, the stores, the streets. He took care of people. Made sure everyone had work, had food, had protection." "Protection?" I ask carefully. "From the bad things, the gangs, the drugs, the people who prey on the weak." Her eyes meet mine, dark and knowing. "My family. We've always protected our own. It's who we are." It's as close to an admission as I'm likely to get. The Salvatores aren't just real estate moguls and restaurant owners. They're the power in this neighborhood. The ones who decide what happens and to whom. The family people come to when the law can't or won't help. They're the Mafia, or what passes for it in 21st century New York. And Dominic is watching me carefully, gauging my reaction, ready for me to run. But I don't run. Maybe I should. Maybe this is the moment a smart woman would make her excuses, and call a cab and never look back. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. Instead, I take a bite of tiramisu and meet Alessandra's gaze. This is incredible. Will you teach me the recipe? Something flashes in her eyes, approval, maybe, or relief. Yes. I teach you many recipes. Family recipes, passed down from my mother and her mother before. You come to Sunday dinner, you learn. Mama, Dominic says, something like warning in his voice. What? I can't invite a nice girl to Sunday dinner? You want I should let her starve instead? Alessandra waves her hand dismissively. She comes tomorrow, 3 o'clock, no arguments. After dinner, Dominic walks me through the neighborhood. The streets are quiet now, most shops closed, only a few restaurants, still glowing with life. He points out buildings as we pass. My great-grandfather lived there when he first came to America. 6 families in 3 rooms. He slept on the floor for 2 years, saving every penny. He gestures to a corner store. He opened his first business there, a little grocery, made enough to bring his brothers over from Sicily. Where in Sicily? Palermo, the old city. My family's been there for 12 generations before they came here. His hand finds the small of my back, guiding me around a broken sidewalk. Every Salvatore goes to Palermo at least once. To see where we came from, to understand what was sacrificed so we could be here. Have you been? 3 times. My father took me when I was 16. Then again when he died, to bury him in the family plot. Then 5 years ago, when I needed to remember why I do what I do. His voice turns dark. Why I protect what's mine, no matter the cost. We stop in front of a building that's clearly residential, well-maintained but not ostentatious. This is me, Dominic says. I keep an apartment above the restaurant, easier than commuting from the penthouse in Midtown. You have a penthouse in Midtown? My family has properties all over the city, but this is home. He looks at me, and I see vulnerability in his eyes that he's trying to hide. Would you like to come up? Just for a drink. I'm not expecting... Yes, I say, before I can talk myself out of it. His apartment is exactly what I'd expect, and nothing like it at the same time. One large room with exposed brick walls and tall windows overlooking the street, a kitchen that's clearly used, not just decorative, a bookshelf crammed with everything from business texts to Italian poetry, a bed in the corner that's made military neat. But what catches my attention is the wall of photos, different from the ones downstairs. These are personal. A younger Dominic with a man who must be his father, same eyes, same sharp features. A teenage Dominic with 2 other boys and a girl, all of them laughing. A recent photo of Alessandra in her kitchen, smiling at whoever's behind the camera. That's my father, Antonio, Dominic says, coming to stand beside me. He died 8 years ago. Heart attack, officially. Reality was more complicated. What was the reality? The reality was that running a family like ours comes with risks, enemies, people who want what you have and don't care who they hurt to get it. His jaw tightens. He was negotiating peace with a rival family, the Castellanos. They controlled the docks, wanted to expand into our territory. My father thought compromise was possible. He was wrong. They killed him. They had him killed. Made it look natural, but everyone knew. Everyone always knows. He touches the photo gently. I was 30. Luca was 28. Gabriella was barely 25. And suddenly we were running an empire we'd spent our whole lives preparing for, but weren't ready to actually lead. The people in the other photo, that's your brother and sister. And Marco. My cousin, my consigliere, my most trusted advisor. The 4 of us grew up together, learned the business together, now we run it together. He turns to face me. I'm telling you this because I need you to understand what you're walking into, who I am, what my life involves. Why? We barely know each other. Because I felt something the moment I saw you on that rooftop. Because I haven't been able to stop thinking about you for the past 24 hours. Because I think you felt it too. And I'm not willing to let it go without at least being honest about what a relationship with me would mean. He steps closer, and I can feel the heat of him. I'm not a good man, Maya. I run operations that exist in legal gray areas. I protect my territory with whatever force is necessary. I have enemies who wouldn't hesitate to use someone I care about to hurt me. Are you trying to scare me away? I'm trying to give you all the information before you decide whether to stay. His hand comes up to cup my face, his thumb brushing my cheekbone. Because if you stay, if you choose this, there's no going back. You'll be in my world, part of my family, under my protection and subject to all the complications that come with it. I should run. Every rational part of my brain is screaming at me to run. This isn't romance, it's danger. This isn't safety, it's complications I can't even imagine. But standing here with his hand on my face and his dark eyes searching mine, all I can think is that I've never felt more alive than I do right now. That 3 months of numbness is cracking apart under the intensity of his attention. I'm not running, I hear myself say. You should. Probably. But I'm not. I reach up to cover his hand with mine. I'm 29 years old. I've spent my entire life making safe choices, being practical, choosing stability over passion. And where has it gotten me? Alone. Lonely. Eating takeout and wondering if this is all there is. So I'm what? A rebellion? A walk on the wild side? No. You're honest. Real. You tell me the truth even when it's ugly. You don't pretend to be something you're not. I step closer. And yes, you're dangerous. Yes, your world scares me. But Marcus was safe, and he still broke my heart. At least with you, I know what I'm getting. You have no idea what you're getting. Then show me. He kisses me. It's not gentle. It's possessive and demanding and full of the violence he keeps carefully leashed. I kiss him back just as fiercely, my hands fisting in his shirt, my body pressing against his. When we finally break apart, we're both breathing hard. Stay, he says, his forehead resting against mine. Stay tonight. Let me show you what this could be. I stay. Sunday dinner at Alessandra Salvatore's house is chaos in the best possible way. The house is in Brooklyn, a 4-story brownstone that takes up half a block. Inside, it's beautiful but lived-in family photos covering every surface, comfortable furniture that's been sat in for decades, the smell of cooking that's been building since dawn, and people, so many people. Alessandra holds court in the kitchen, directing traffic and tasting sauces. Dominic's sister Gabriella is at the stove, arguing with her mother in rapid Italian about whether the pasta needs another minute. Luca, Dominic's younger brother, is in the dining room, setting the table with Marco, both of them moving with military efficiency. And then there are the others, Uncle Salvatore and Aunt Teresa, cousins whose names I immediately forget, associates and soldiers and people who are clearly part of the family's business operations but blend seamlessly into the domestic chaos. This is Maya, Alessandra announces when I arrive, pulling me into the kitchen. Dominic's girl. She's learning Sunday gravy, so everyone behave. The way she says Dominic's girl makes my chest warm, like it's settled, like I already belong. Gabriella pulls me into a hug that smells like perfume and tomato sauce. She's beautiful. Dominic's features softened by femininity, dark curls framing her face, bright eyes that miss nothing. Finally, a woman who might actually keep my brother human. Do you know how long we've been waiting for someone to make him smile like he does when he talks about you? We've been on one date. I protest. In this family, one date is all it takes. She hands me a wooden spoon. Now stir the sauce. Gently. Don't let it stick. I spend the next hour learning to make Sunday gravy, which is apparently what Italians call marinara sauce, that's been simmering since morning with meatballs and sausage and bracioli. Alessandra teaches me with the patience of a woman who's taught many reluctant students, correcting my stirring technique and explaining the importance of good olive oil. You use the cheap oil, you get cheap flavor, she says firmly. Always use the good stuff. Life's too short for bad olive oil. Gabriella laughs. Mama's life philosophy in one sentence. Not just oil. Everything. You want good life? You put in good ingredients. Alessandra looks at me meaningfully. Good man, good family, good traditions. These are what matter. Dinner is served at 3 o'clock sharp at a table that seats 20. The food is endless. Antipasti, pasta, meatballs, sausage, bracioli, chicken, vegetables, bread. Wine flows freely. Conversations happen in English and Italian, sometimes in the same sentence, everyone talking over each other with the volume turned up to 11. And Dominic sits beside me, his hand occasionally finding my thigh under the table, his presence both protective and possessive. Luca, from across the table, raises his wine glass. To Maya, welcome to the madness. Fair warning, once you eat Mama's Sunday gravy, you're stuck with us forever. It's in the bylaws. There are no bylaws, Gabriella protests. There should be. I'll write them. He grins at me. Rule 1. Sunday dinner is mandatory. Rule 2. Never criticize Mama's cooking. Rule 3. What happens in the family stays in the family. That last rule hangs in the air with weight. This isn't just about gossip or family squabbles. It's about loyalty. About understanding that the Salvatore family's business, their real business, requires absolute discretion. After dinner, while the women clear dishes and the men retreat to the living room to smoke cigars and discuss business, Alessandra pulls me aside to a smaller sitting room. Sit, she commands, and I sit. She settles into a chair across from me, her dark eyes searching my face. You understand what my son is? What my family does? I think so. You think? That's not understanding. She leans forward. My husband, Antonio. He built this family's empire. Not just the restaurants and the buildings, the real business, the protection we offer to people in our territory, the order we maintain, the respect we command. She pauses. This world, it's not clean, it's not safe. It requires hard choices and harder consequences. You're warning me. I'm preparing you. Because my Dominic, he's like his father. Strong, loyal, willing to do what's necessary to protect what's his, but also vulnerable in ways he doesn't show. Her voice softens. He lost his father young. Had to become the head of this family before he was ready. He carries weight you can't see, responsibilities that would break most men. Why are you telling me this? Because I see how he looks at you. Like you matter. Like you're necessary. She reaches across to take my hand, and I need to know if you're strong enough to stand beside him, to accept what he is, to be part of this family with all the complications that brings. I don't know, I admit, but I want to try. Trying is not enough. In this family, you're all in or you're out. There's no middle ground. Her grip on my hand tightens. So I ask you again, Maya Chen, are you strong enough for my son? For this life? For this family? I think about my lonely apartment. About 3 months of numbness. About Marcus and his demands that I make myself smaller. About a life that felt like slow suffocation. And I think about Dominic. About the way he looks at me like I'm the only person in the world. About honesty and danger and feeling alive for the first time in years. Yes, I say firmly. Yes, I'm strong enough. Alessandra smiles, and it transforms her face. Good. Then welcome to the family, Figlia mia. My daughter. She pulls me into a hug that smells like her kitchen and feels like coming home. Later, as Dominic drives me back to Manhattan, I tell him about the conversation. My mother doesn't call people daughter lightly, he says, his hand finding mine. It means she's claimed you. Made you family. Does that scare you? Terrify me. Because it means if I fuck this up, I won't just lose you. I'll disappoint my mother, and that's worse than facing down rival families. He grins, taking the edge off the words. But it also means she sees in you what I see. Strength, intelligence. The ability to handle truths that would make most people run. What if I'm not as strong as you think? Then I'll be strong enough for both of us until you are. He lifts my hand to kiss my knuckles. That's what partners do. Maya. They carry each other through the hard parts. Part 3A, the integration new section. The next 3 weeks pass in a blur of Sunday dinners, late-night conversations at Dominic's apartment, and slow integration into the Salvatore world. I meet the extended family. Uncle Sal, who runs the construction side of things and tells stories about building half of Brooklyn with his bare hands. Aunt Teresa, who treats me like I'm already married to Dominic and fusses over whether I'm eating enough. Cousins who work various aspects of, quote, the family business legitimate and otherwise and accept me with the same easy warmth they show each other. And slowly, carefully, Dominic shows me the real business. Not all at once. Not in ways that would overwhelm or frighten me. But piece by piece, like assembling a puzzle, until I understand the full picture of what the Salvatore family actually does. One night, he takes me to a meeting. It's in the back room of a restaurant in Queens, around a table where 5 men sit with respect and wariness in equal measure. These are the business owners on Mulberry Street, Dominic explains as we walk in. They pay us monthly for protection. Not extortion, actual protection. From gangs. From people who'd rob them or vandalize their shops. From problems the police can't or won't handle. I watch as Dominic listens to their concerns. A new gang trying to sell drugs on the corner. Kids vandalizing storefronts. A landlord trying to triple rent to force out longtime tenants. Dominic addresses each issue with efficiency. The gang will be warned once, then dealt with permanently if they don't leave. The kids will be identified and their families will be visited, not threatened, but reminded that the neighborhood has eyes. The landlord will receive a visit from Marco, who will explain that forcing out legacy businesses is bad for everyone. You keep the neighborhood safe, one restaurant owner says, gratitude evident in his voice. The police, they don't care. But you, Mr. Salvatore, you protect us like family. Later, driving home, I process what I saw. Is it always like that? People grateful for your protection? Not always. Sometimes they resent paying for something they think should be free. Sometimes they think we're no better than criminals extorting them. Dominic's voice is matter of fact. But most people understand. The police can't be everywhere. The law has limitations. We fill the gaps. With violence when necessary. With violence when necessary. He agrees. I won't lie to you about that, Maya. Sometimes protecting people means hurting the people who'd hurt them. Sometimes it means making examples. Sometimes it means doing things that keep me up at night. Does it keep you up at night? More than you'd think. I'm not a monster. I don't enjoy violence. But I'm willing to use it when the alternative is worse. He glances at me. Can you live with that? I'm still here, aren't I? Another night, I'm with Gabriella when someone comes to her restaurant, one of the Salvatore family's legitimate businesses, asking for help. A woman, maybe 45, with a black eye she's trying to hide under makeup, and a desperation in her eyes that makes my chest ache. Please, Miss Salvatore, she says quietly. My husband, he's been drinking again. Last night I can't go to the police. He'll kill me. But I heard your family helps people who can't go to the police. Gabriella listens, her face carefully neutral, then excuses herself to make a phone call. 5 minutes later, she returns. Go home, she tells the woman gently. Pack a bag. Be ready to leave in 2 hours. My brother Luca will send someone to get you and your children. You'll stay in one of our properties until we handle your husband. I can't pay. No payment necessary. This is what we do. Gabriella's voice is steel wrapped in silk. Your husband will not touch you again. That's a promise. Later, after the woman leaves, Gabriella turns to me. This is the other side of our business. The side people don't talk about. We protect the weak. We punish the strong who prey on them. The law calls it vigilante justice. We call it doing what's right when the law won't. What will happen to her husband? He'll be visited. Warned. If he's smart, that'll be enough. If not, she shrugs. Then he'll learn the hard way that hurting women in Salvatore territory has consequences. These moments, these glimpses into the Salvatore world, should horrify me, should make me run back to my safe corporate life and never look back. But instead, I find myself understanding, not agreeing with all of it, not comfortable with the violence, but understanding that in a world where the law has limits, people like the Salvatores fill a necessary space. They're not heroes, but they're not villains either. There's something in between powerful people using that power to maintain order in their territory, to protect those who can't protect themselves, to enforce rules that keep the neighborhood functioning. It's messy and complicated and morally gray, but it's also real. And after years of Marcus's polished corporate morality that crumbled the moment it became inconvenient, I find there's something appealing about people who are honest about their amorality. One night, 6 weeks after that first dinner, Dominic takes me to meet someone I've been dreading, Marco Castellano. We meet at a neutral restaurant, one that's not controlled by either family. Dominic brings Luca. Marco Castellano brings his brother. And I'm there as what Dominic calls a gesture of good faith, proof that he's serious about maintaining peace. Serious enough to bring the woman he cares about into what could be dangerous territory. Marco Castellano is in his 50s, distinguished in a way that makes him look more like a banker than a mob boss. But his eyes are cold, calculating, assessing threats even in this neutral space. Salvatore, he says, his voice carrying old Brooklyn. "I hear you've been busy. Expanding operations, taking on new territories. Just maintaining what's ours," Dominic replies smoothly. "And you?" "I hear the docks have been profitable. Profitable enough." Marco's eyes drift to me. "And this is?" "Maya Chen, my girlfriend." The way Dominic says it, with absolute possessiveness, makes it clear I'm not just a date. I'm claimed, protected. Off limits. "Beautiful," Marco says, something calculating in his voice. "You should be careful, Salvatore. Beautiful things in our world tend to get damaged." The temperature drops. Luca tenses. Dominic's hand finds mine under the table, gripping tight enough to hurt. "Is that a threat, Castellano?" "An observation. We live in a dangerous world. Accidents happen." Marco leans back. "I'm simply advising you to be careful with what you value. Losing valuable things, that's a pain I wouldn't wish on anyone." The rest of the dinner is tense, both families maintaining careful politeness while underneath threats simmer. When we finally leave, Dominic is quiet, his jaw tight with controlled fury. "He threatened you," he says, once we're in the car. "That was a direct threat. It was vague enough to deny. It was clear enough to understand." He pulls over suddenly, turning to face me. "Maya, I need you to understand something. The Castellanos, they're testing boundaries, seeing if I'm distracted, if having you in my life makes me vulnerable. And Marco Castellano just made it clear he sees you as a potential target. So what do? I protect you, with everything I have, with every resource at my disposal." His hands frame my face. "But I also need you to be smart. Don't go places alone. Don't trust people you don't know. And if anyone approaches you claiming to be from the Castellano family, you run and you call me immediately. You're scaring me." "Good. You should be scared. Because this is real, Maya. This is what being in my world means. You're not just my girlfriend. You're leverage. A way to hurt me. And I need you to take that seriously." "I will. I promise." He kisses me then, desperate and claiming. And I kiss him back, choosing this life, this danger, this man, despite and because of all the complications. Over the next month, I'm pulled deeper into the Salvatore world. Sunday dinners become routine. Alessandra teaches me to cook, passing down recipes that have been in the family for generations. Gabriella adopts me as the sister she never had, dragging me shopping and to the salon and to family events. And slowly, I learn the rhythms of this life. The way conversations stop when I enter rooms, only to resume once I'm deemed trustworthy. The way people treat me with respect because I'm Dominic's Maya. The way I'm slowly being integrated into not just his life, but the family business. I'm there when Luca brings news of the Castellanos pushing boundaries again. They've been trying to move drugs through Salvatore territory, breaking the fragile peace that's held since Antonio Salvatore's death. "They're testing us," Marco says during a meeting I'm not supposed to overhear but do anyway. "Seeing if we're still strong or if enough time has passed that they can make a move. Then we remind them why testing us is a bad idea," Dominic says, his voice cold with controlled fury. "Hit 3 of their operations. Make it clear the boundaries still hold. That could start a war. Then it starts a war. But the Castellanos need to understand our territory is our territory. Period." I'm there when Dominic has to make a choice between loyalty and profit. One of their longtime associates got caught moving stolen goods. The evidence is clear. The betrayal is undeniable. "What do you want to do?" Luca asks. "What I have to do?" Dominic's face is carved from stone. "Family loyalty means nothing if we don't enforce it." He broke the rules. He faces consequences. I don't ask what those consequences are. I don't want to know. I'm there when a business owner in their territory comes to Dominic for help. His daughter's boyfriend is beating her. The police won't do anything. The boyfriend's father is a judge with connections. "Please, Mr. Salvatore," the man begs. "You're the only one who can help her. The only one with enough power to make him stop." Dominic listens, his face impassive. Then he nods. "Consider it handled. Your daughter will not be bothered again." 2 days later, the boyfriend is found beaten within an inch of his life. He never touches the girl again. And the neighborhood understands the Salvatores protect their own. This is the reality of Dominic's world. Not glamorous, not romantic, just raw power applied to problems the law can't or won't solve. And I have to decide if I can live with that. 3 months after that first dinner, I know my answer. I can live with it. Not because I approve of all of it, not because I'm comfortable with the violence, but because I understand it. Because I've seen both sides, the protection and the punishment, the order and the chaos, the family loyalty and the brutal consequences of betrayal. And because I love Dominic Salvatore. Dangerous World and All. Part 4. The war 6 weeks after the dinner with Marco Castellano. Everything nearly falls apart. I'm at Dominic's apartment above the restaurant, working on my laptop while he's in a meeting downstairs. It's nearly 10 at night, late enough that the neighborhood is quiet, most businesses closed. I hear the gunshots before I fully process what they mean. 3 sharp cracks that echo off brick buildings. Shouting in Italian. Running footsteps. My heart stops. Dominic. I'm at the window in seconds, looking down at the street. I see men running, 2 of them in Salvatore colors and 3 in Castellano. I see blood on the sidewalk but can't tell whose. My phone rings. Marco. Maya, listen carefully. Stay in the apartment. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone except Dominic or me. Understand? What's happening? Where's Dominic? He's fine. He's handling it. But the Castellanos just tried to hit us during a meeting. They failed. But things are going to get messy. You need to stay safe. I'm coming down. No, you stay exactly where you are. That's not a request. Marco's voice is steel. You're Dominic's, which makes you a target. The best thing you can do right now is stay protected. He hangs up, and I'm left alone with my fear. The next 2 hours are the longest of my life. I pace Dominic's apartment, jumping at every sound, imagining worst-case scenarios. I try his phone 17 times. It goes straight to voicemail. I'm about to lose my mind when I finally hear footsteps on the stairs. The key in the lock, the door opening. Dominic stands in the doorway, and my relief is so intense I almost collapse. He's alive. He's whole. There's blood on his shirt, but he's not limping, not favoring any injuries. The blood isn't his. Amore, he says, his voice rough with exhaustion. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry you had to wait alone. I cross to him in 3 steps and throw my arms around him. He holds me tight, his face buried in my hair, and I feel him trembling slightly. I thought they'd killed you. I whisper. They tried. They failed. He pulls back to look at me, his hands framing my face. Maya, I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer, honestly. Okay, this life, my world, the danger that comes with being mine. Can you handle it? Because tonight won't be the last time something like this happens. There will always be rivals, always be threats, always be moments when you're scared and I'm in danger and there's nothing you can do but wait and trust that I'll come home. I think about the terror of the last 2 hours, about hearing gunshots and not knowing if he was bleeding out on that street, about the very real possibility of losing him to violence that's part of his world, and I think about the alternative. Going back to my safe, lonely life, never feeling this alive again, never belonging to a family like the Salvatores. Yes, I say firmly. Yes, I can handle it. I don't want to. I hate it. But I can do it because the alternative is worse. What's the alternative? Living without you. He kisses me then, deep and desperate. And I kiss him back, pouring all my fear and relief and love into it. When we finally break apart, he rests his forehead against mine. The Castellanos declared war tonight. Things are going to get dangerous. I want you out of the city for a while. Somewhere safe. No. Maya, no. If we're doing this, if I'm really part of your life, then I don't run when things get hard. I stay. I stand beside you. That's what partners do. I use his own words from weeks ago. They carry each other through the hard parts. Something in his expression cracks. I love you. I know it's too soon. I know we barely know each other. But I love you, Maya Chen. And I don't want anything to happen to you because of me. I love you too. And that's exactly why I'm staying. The war with the Castellanos lasts 3 weeks. 3 weeks of heightened security, of Dominic disappearing for hours to handle situations he won't tell me about, of Alessandra's house becoming a fortress with armed guards at every entrance. I move into Dominic's apartment above the restaurant, partially because it's safer, but mostly because I can't stand being away from him when every moment might be our last. Gabriella and Alessandra teach me the reality of being a Salvatore woman during wartime. How to smile and serve dinner while your men discuss violence in the next room. How to be strong for family members who are terrified. How to maintain normalcy when everything is chaos. This is not the first war we've survived, Alessandra tells me one afternoon while we're making pasta. Her hands work the dough with practiced efficiency. When my husband was alive, we went through 3 wars with rival families. Each time, I was terrified. Each time, I kept making Sunday gravy, because that's what you do. You maintain traditions even when the world is falling apart. How did you survive it? The fear? I focused on what I could control. My kitchen, my family, making sure everyone was fed and loved and remembered why we fight not for territory or money, but for each other. She stops kneading and looks at me, and I trusted Antonio to come home. To be smart enough and strong enough to survive, you have to trust Dominic the same way. I try. But trust is hard when every night brings news of violence. A Castellano warehouse burned to the ground. A Salvatore shipment intercepted and destroyed. 2 of Marco's men in the hospital after an ambush. The war is brutal and medieval and everything I didn't want to believe about Dominic's world. But I see the other side too. The way the neighborhood rallies around the Salvatores. The way families bring food to Alessandra's house, offerings of support. The way even rival families send messages of respect for how the Salvatores are handling the conflict with precision and controlled violence rather than chaos. And I see Dominic carrying the weight of all of it, making impossible decisions, protecting his family and his territory with whatever means necessary, coming home exhausted and bloodied, but never broken. The end comes suddenly. Marco Castellano, the head of the rival family, calls for a meeting. Neutral ground, both sides bringing equal numbers. A chance to negotiate before the violence spreads beyond what either family can control. Dominic doesn't want to go. It could be a trap. It could be genuine, Marco argues. The Castellanos have lost as much as we have. Maybe more. And both families have agreed to respect neutral ground for generations. Breaking that tradition would be war with everyone, not just us. I'll go, Dominic says finally. But maximum security. And Maya stays under guard at my mother's house until I'm back. I want to argue, want to insist on being there. But I see the fear in his eyes not for himself, but for me, and I let it go. Be careful, always am. He kisses me, long and slow and thorough. I love you. If something happens, nothing will happen. You're too stubborn to die. He smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes. If something happens, my mother will take care of you. You'll be provided for, protected, always. Nothing will happen, I repeat firmly. And when you come back, we're having a serious discussion about you being less terrifying during tense moments. The meeting lasts 4 hours. 4 hours of me pacing Alessandra's living room while she cooks, and Gabriella pretends to read, and Luca cleans his gun 3 times. Finally, just after midnight, the cars pull up. Dominic emerges first, and I see it immediately. The tension is gone from his shoulders. Whatever happened, it worked. It's done, he says when he walks in. The Castellanos agreed to new boundaries. They stay out of our territory completely. In exchange, we let them have exclusive rights to the docks without interference. And both families agreed that civilians, family members not in the business, are completely off limits. You're safe? I ask. We're safe. The war is over. The relief is so intense I almost cry. Part V. Proposal. 2 weeks later, Dominic proposes. We're on the rooftop of the Avalon Tower, the same place we met. He's brought me up here after dinner, just the 2 of us under the stars with Manhattan glittering below. I've been thinking, he says, pulling me close, about the first time I saw you here, standing alone, looking like you were deciding whether to disappear. I was deciding if coming to the party was a mistake. Was it? Best mistake I ever made. I lean against him. You saved me that night. Not from jumping from slowly dying of loneliness and thinking that was all my life would ever be. You saved me too. From being so consumed by family business that I forgot what living actually felt like. He turns me to face him. Maya Chen, I love you. I love your strength and your intelligence and the way you fit into my family like you were always meant to be there. I love that you didn't run when things got dangerous, that you stood beside me during the war and never once asked me to be something I'm not. He's pulling something from his pocket. A ring box. Marry me, not because it makes you safer, though it does. Not because my mother will plan the wedding whether we want her to or not, though she will. But because I can't imagine my life without you in it. Because you're my partner in every way that matters. Because I want to spend the rest of my life loving you. The ring is beautiful. A simple solitaire diamond set in platinum, elegant and perfect. Yes, I say through tears. Yes, absolutely yes. He slides the ring onto my finger and it fits perfectly. Then he kisses me, and it's a promise and a claim and a future all at once. You know what you're signing up for, right? He asks when we finally break apart. A lifetime of complicated. A lifetime of being married to someone with enemies and territory and a family that's loud and intrusive and will probably drive you crazy. I know exactly what I'm signing up for. A lifetime of being loved by someone who sees all of me and wants me anyway. A lifetime of family dinners and traditions. A lifetime of being part of something bigger than myself. I look at the ring catching starlight. That sounds perfect. 6 months later, we marry at Salvatore's restaurant. Alessandra cries through the entire ceremony. Luca stands as best man, warning me in his toast that I'm stuck with all the Salvatores now. Not just Dominic. My parents fly in from California. My father pulls Dominic aside for a conversation that probably involves threats about treating me well. My mother hugs me and whispers that she sees how happy I am. And that's all she wants for me. I wear a dress. Alessandra helped me choose traditional Italian lace with modern lines. Dominic wears a dark suit and looks at me like I'm the only person in the world. When we exchange vows, we write our own. His are characteristically direct. I promise to protect you, to value you, to never hide who I am or what I do. I promise to give you the freedom to choose me every day and to choose you right back. I promise to love you with everything I am, the good and the bad, and everything in between. Mine are equally honest. I promise to stand beside you, to be your partner in all things. I promise not to run when things get complicated. I promise to love you not despite your world but as part of it. I promise to choose you, every day, for the rest of our lives. The reception lasts until dawn. The Salvatores know how to celebrate with food and wine and music that makes everyone dance. As the party winds down and guests begin to leave, Dominic and I slip away to his apartment above the restaurant. How does it feel? He asks, pulling me close. Being Mrs. Salvatore? Terrifying and perfect. I rest my head against his chest. How does it feel having a wife? Like I've been given something I don't deserve, but will spend every day trying to be worthy of. His arms tighten around me. Thank you for choosing this, for choosing me. Thank you for being worth choosing. A year later, I'm sitting at Sunday dinner when Dominic makes an announcement. Mama, everyone, we have news. He takes my hand, excitement clear in his eyes. Maya's pregnant. The room erupts in joy. Alessandra cries and immediately starts planning, talking about nurseries and godparents and recipes she needs to teach me for when the baby is older. Gabriella hugs me so tight I can barely breathe. Luca actually smiles, a rare, genuine smile. A baby, Alessandra says, touching my still flat stomach with reverence. The next generation. This is good. This is right. And it is right. This messy, complicated, dangerous family that I've become part of. This life that's nothing like what I planned, but everything I needed. Dominic pulls me close, his hand protective over where our child is growing. Are you happy? More than I ever thought possible, I say honestly. Because I am. Happy in ways I didn't know existed. Loved in ways I didn't know were possible. Part of something bigger than myself. Something that's been built over generations and will continue long after we're gone. I'm Maya Salvatore now, wife to a Mafia boss, part of a crime family, mother-to-be to the next generation of Salvatores, and I wouldn't change a single thing. From that first night on a rooftop, standing alone and lonely, to this moment surrounded by family and love, it's been a journey I never expected. But sometimes the best things in life come from unexpected places. From dangerous strangers who see you when you feel invisible. From choosing complicated over safe. From family that's chosen rather than born into. I wouldn't change a single moment. Not the fear during the war. Not the terror of watching Dominic disappear into danger. Not the constant awareness of living in a world where violence is always a possibility. Because all of it brought me here. To this family. To this man. To this life. and it's absolutely perfect. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you loved this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.